Alright, so in this video I'm going to be ranking all of the mainstream brands that come out with mice and are basically competing. I didn't add any like really low companies like ones that have like one mice like GameSense or anything like that because the mice haven't even released yet. So I'm not going to base that off prototypes. Um, but the first we have Rocket. They're going to be B tier. The one thing with them is they don't ever make mice that stand out. Like the KPU stood out, but it had a rubber cable and really bad feet, like horrible feet, and it used Omron 50Ms. If they came out with a KPU with the Burst Pro cable, Burst Pro feet, and Titan optical switches, easily they would come up to A tier. They listen to people, they try, they are very active in Discords and on Twitter and stuff like that, but they just haven't made like that one standout mouse yet. HK Gaming is gonna go in F tier. All of their mice have been basically disasters. They are just a really horrible company. Like they do really scummy things. I would advise you to just stay away from HK Gaming. Cooler Master is gonna go in C tier. They have a 60-gram wireless mouse coming out, which I think looks really cool, but I don't know how the build quality is going to be. Their MM710 was horrible, and so was the MM711. The build quality on those were just really bad. And then they came out with the MM720, kind of fixed that a little bit, but not fully. It still does have a few issues, and the LK optical switches are really just not good at all. Just really bad. So they're going to go in C tier. They do listen. They do communicate. Just, you know. G-Wolves is going to go in B tier. They make really light mice, but they don't make quality mice. They've tried to up the build quality. It seems like always at the end they kind of get it with before releasing a new mice, but it's just like the cycle over and over. They release a new mice. The build quality is horrible for like the first 6 months. And then they're getting ready to release a new mouse, and then they finally make the build quality really solid. They don't communicate. They used to block people on Twitter. They've been accused of money laundering and like tax evasion and all of these other things. And I'm pretty sure it's still ongoing. They have a bunch of legal things going on, but they make pretty quality mice, or not quality mice, pretty light mice. And they were very innovative with the lightweight thing. Logitech is gonna. I'm gonna put Logitech also in B tier. My issue with Logitech is that they don't listen to people and they don't care what people think. When they originally released the G Pro Wireless, they released it. It had so many double clicking issues. They didn't care. They just didn't care. Fast forward about 7 months ago, they changed the switches to Omron 20Ms instead of 50Ms in the G Pro Wireless. Never told anybody. Never told anybody. People still think they use 50Ms. No, they use 20Ms and they still double click in the normal G Pro Wireless. My issue with them also is they release one flagship mouse that's really solid. They don't fix anything about it really. They don't tell anybody about it when changes happen, and then they release usually really mediocre mice in the meantime of like the 2-year span that they release their next flagship. So I really just don't like how they do it. Glorious is going to go in D tier. I like their marketing a lot. The way they market things, like being like the outsider and coming in and, kind of like being the opposite of Final Mouse. And they try to listen, but their products are just horrible, really bad. Besides the Model of Wireless, which is a fine option, but at this point, not really, because the Razer Viper always hovers around $90 anyway, and I would rather pay $10 more for a Razer Viper any day of the week than a Model O Wireless. So Extra is gonna go in C tier. This is probably gonna be a little bit controversial because of all the like Rocket Jump Ninja fanboys, but my issue with them is they don't change anything about their product until they're bullied to change it. Like when they released the M4, it had horrible build quality. The only reason they changed it was because people were putting up huge fusses, and they had a really bad like reputation for a little bit when the M4 came out, and because the build quality was just unbearably bad. Like, it was horrible, and they didn't want to change it until everybody like basically forced them to change it. And that's kind of like the same thing with the Rocket Jump Ninja thing. They originally stated they would not change the cable because they thought it would break too easily, and then everybody put up like a huge fuss about it because Xtrfy cables are really bad, and they lost a ton of interest from that mouse. And obviously they need that interest because they're paying Rocket Jump Ninja to even like represent their company, and now they're changing it, and the cable still looks really stiff. Vaxi is gonna go in A tier. Vaxi is the old designers of Zowie. They make the Outset AX and the NPO1. They are like the most genuine people, and they listen in their like just performance. They want performance. They use amazing switches. They use they don't use any software. They put everything on the mouse, which I really respect because I hate software. And I think the only useful thing in software is changing the debounce, and they just put that on the mouse, which I absolutely love. I hate when companies do like a set debounce. I just like it, like knowing that it's there. And they respond to almost every Twitter reply, or every Twitter comment, almost every single one. And they're really active in like the lower subscriber, like YouTube. Like, they just respond to everybody. Like, and they go into voice calls with like anybody. If you have any questions, they're just really genuine people. Zowie's gonna go in D tier. The company themselves, I don't know what they're gonna do because they're finished with their mouse line. Like, they've literally finished their whole mouse line. They've gone in a complete 360. My guess is they'll probably end up coming out with like a Tyloo, which is their red series, probably on their mice or something, or they'll make like a glossy black maybe, and then just keep repeating it over and over and over and over, or they'll just get out of the mouse game. I don't see them ever updating their mice. I just don't see it. I don't at all. They just upgraded to a 3360 like not even last year, I'm pretty sure, and the 3360 is no longer even being manufactured, I'm pretty sure. So that just shows how outdated they are. But their shapes are really good. That's the only thing saving them from F tier. Like, my main is still an FK2B with a Zebra paracord and core pads. That's my main mouse. So yeah, I just love the shape. Corsair is also going to go in D tier. They released the Qatar Pro wireless, which the shape is not bad at all, but the sensor had a few issues. And then they just are releasing the Qatar Pro XT, I think it's called, and it's a 68-gram wireless mouse. It's like a more refined G203 shape is what it feels like. I tried it in store, the wireless version. I really enjoy the shape, and I really like the coating. But it does have a rubber cable, and it does have black, like, horrible feet. But just them going up to like a 68-gram mouse just shows that they are kind of like putting their foot in, seeing how it goes. I don't even need to explain Dell. Hyperx is also going to go in C tier. They released a Haste for $45, which is just like insane. They would be B or A, but they just haven't released like anything else. But if they do release anything else, they'll definitely probably be up here. The Haste is just an amazing mouse. It's a mouse for $45. The cable is basically almost like a paracord. It's not really like close, but it is. It's my favorite stock cable. I do enjoy over the XM1 cable, and TTC micro switches is just like a very big. I just love that in mice now. Or I love that companies are starting to put them in mice now. They're amazing. Final mouse I'm going to put in A. I don't like how they release their mice because it's kind of like a hype beast drop kind of, or like a supreme drop, and they attract hype beast, or hype. You understand what I'm trying to say? Like the hype beast of the mouse community, and the one thing I think people get mixed up about Final Mouse is they don't control the aftermarket prices for their mice. They sold their Air 58 for $80, which is completely reasonable, very reasonable, and they sold their Ultralight 2 for $120. I think $100 is probably more reasonable, but they can't control the aftermarket prices. Like they don't, they're not selling the they're not selling the Air 58 for $400. Like they're not. They're not. And I really like their marketing. It's really frustrating, but I really like it at the same time because it's showing how gullible people are. And if you look at Final Boys, which is kind of like the Twitter, I think he's the Twitter guy. He might not be the Twitter guy, but he's like the head of Final Mouse basically. He like just basically says like people are so fucking gullible, and he kind of plays like a little bit of a character. I don't think that's actually him. He's just really playing a character. SteelSeries is gonna go in C tier. C tier also, yeah. They released the Aerox 3, which was a disaster at first. And then, over time, they worked on the build quality, and there's no complaints with it now. The build quality is fixed. They made the feet a little bit thicker, but I wish they would just get rid of those round feet and just put, like, Zowie-style feet, like Zowie PTFE feet. That would just be amazing. And you can't really replace the feet with anything but the little circle aftermarket feet. Like, they sell core pads in the circle, but if you put, like, Zowie feet or anything, like Zowie core pads, the sensor will be all messed up. But they did improve the Aerox 3, and it's definitely a top wireless mouse, so for that, they're going to go in C tier. They just haven't really created anything else. And unlike HyperX, they don't listen to people. They really don't. They could care less. Ponage is going to go in D tier. Now that I know that Ponage, I didn't know this at first, Ponage is just an OEM mouse, which basically means it's a copy. You can get the exact same mouse with customizable shell on AliExpress or Taobao for $45. And there's also like clones of them that you can't replace the shells, but they're also like $45. They are just the ones that kind of made it popular and mainstream, so for that, they're not going to go in F tier. So, yeah. Endgame gear is going to go in B tier. They're really starting to, like, piss me off because they're just milking the XM1. They would be in A tier because they do listen to people. They reply on Twitter. They put aftermarket things in their mice. They have really good cables. They are always improving them with batch to batch. But they really are just milking the XM1, and I think they really ruined that line. What they should have done is done the original XM1 with a rubber cable, upgraded to the XM1 V2. That was a good upgrade. I like that. And then made an XM1 RGB, and then they should have been done with the XM1 line, and then added the Kale 8.0s, the updated side buttons in the XM1 wireless or XM1 mini. They should not have done multiple versions of the XM1. They should have just saved the new features for whatever they're doing next. And they've already said in multiple discords they are never going to do Ergo. They're just not Ergo fans. So if anybody is ever expecting them to do Ergo, they're not doing Ergo. What they said is they want to stick to claw style mice. That's just what they like. Razer's going to go in S tier. I'm not a Razer fanboy, but they really pushed the lightweight thing on bigger companies. I think if Razer never came out with the Viper Ultimate and overcame the G Pro Wireless, and they never released the Viper Mini, or the Viper 8K Hertz, which was just like kind of like a flex thing. They have the tech nobody else really does right now. If they never released the Viper Mini, I don't think the Haste would have ever came out. I don't think a lot of these mice would have ever came out, and I don't think more companies would have actually tried to get into the budget range game. And I don't think without the Viper Ultimate, I don't think the G Pro Wireless Superlight would be out. I don't think the Aerox 3 would be out. I don't think a lot of these things would be out, and I don't think the Model Wireless would be out. I don't think the new Cooler Master mouse would be out. I don't think a lot of these things would be out. And I think that's all basically because of Razer kind of coming in and introducing like lighter weight wireless mice to the game. But that's my list. If you want the tier list, I will leave it in the description. I did make this. I will like probably add more companies. The more they come into the game and stuff like that. But that's gonna be the end of this video. Peace.